So we'd like to call this meeting to order. The Beaumont Economic Development Committee, regular session meeting for Wednesday, August 9th, 2017. So I'll go ahead and call roll. Bernie Ballin.
Here.
Bertha Barraza. Absent. Absent. Terrence Davis. Here. Sharon Geiser. Absent. Randy Harris.
Here.
Here. Jennifer Higgins.
Here.
Mike McGraw.
Here.
Julio Martinez.
Here.
Todd Parton.
I'm sitting in for Todd.
Okay, so Elizabeth sitting in for Todd. But Todd has a demerit. Okay. Yeah.
Half demerit.
Half demerit. Mark Turner, absent. And Kyle Warshinsky, here.
Here.
Lloyd White, absent. Rob Morin.
Here. New guy.
Here, new guy, welcome. And school student position, at the fault of the chair, not here. Okay.
2 demerit.
3, probably. Okay, so let's go ahead and, any discussion on any of the excused absences that we don't know about that may be attending or late or anything that we don't know?
Todd notified me that he wasn't going to be here, so he asked Elizabeth to sit in as his
Okay.
alternate. And I want to say Mark may have said something at the last meeting, but I can't remember, so I'm not gonna make up an excuse on why he's not here. But he
Okay.
may be showing up. And if not, we'll deal with it next meeting.
Okay, so let's go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Martinez, can you lead us, please?
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excuse me, Councilman Martinez. Do we have any adjustments or do we have approval of the agenda? Any adjustments?
No adjustments.
So do we vote on the approval for our agenda?
No.
No? Okay, we just approve and we keep rolling. All right. Any conflict of interest based upon what's on today's agenda by anyone? Not hearing any? Okay, so we're going to go to public comment. Is there anyone here to speak in the public forum?
Bertha's here.
Ms. Barraza has made it. Good. So thank you for being here. We'll just cross that absent out and you're here. Good. So no public comments? Okay. So we'll move on to number 2, our action items. Hearings or any requests. So 2A is approval of the minutes dated June 14th, 2017. Is everyone able to take a look at those? Any concerns? Any revisions? No, not seeing any. Okay, so we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. McGraw, move. First. Second by Bernie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
And Ms. Elizabeth will abstain and Mr. Morin will abstain. Okay, so motion passes. Item 2B, introduction of our new member, Mr. Rob Morin.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Rob Moran. I'm with the County of Riverside Economic Development Agency. I'm the Economic Development Manager. I've been fortunate to work for the county for 24 years. I'm responsible for business attraction, retention activities. Thanks. Workforce development programs that assist businesses. We've got our Center for Demographics. We operate small business programs, a couple business centers countywide. Honored to be here and participating in the committee. Kyle was gracious enough to ask me if I could participate, and thank you to the council for allowing us to participate. And I'm glad to be here and excited to help contribute to economic development here. So, thank you.
Welcome. Any
Welcome.
questions of the committee? All about Mr. Moran.
Yes, you got it.
All right, clean up my act here. No questions?
Where do you live?
I actually live in the city of Riverside.
Riverside?
Yes.
Are you going to be a permanent committee member? Or
Yes.
Thank you.
Don't try to give him any wiggle room to get out of here. It's his first meeting.
I've had the pleasure of working with Kyle for several years now, so
Pleasure? Not just kidding.
for the record. And so, when he asked, I jumped at the idea. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. And I've worked in the PASS area for several years back, going to PASS EDA and EcoPack years and years ago when there was nonprofit EDCs out here. So, like I said, looking forward to continuing our work out here. Thanks.
Thank you for volunteering and being a part of the crew. Kyle has lifted all of our intellectual game here, so that's good.
Excellent.
All right. So moving on to item 2C, update of any projects with the city.
Thank you, committee chair and members of the committee. So we have quick updates on staff. We had our local sales tax update this week. We haven't fully digested everything, so I'm going to go ahead and prepare a sales tax update for the next committee meeting. Quick Reader's Digest version is that it was good, it was up. We're just trying to figure out exactly what the different factors in the different components on the different industry groups that led to that increase. So we should be able to bring that back for the next meeting. Other projects of note, at the last meeting you did hear from Public Works, so they gave you a pretty good snippet of what's going on infrastructure-wise. We have had a couple different discussions, staff-wise, with a couple businesses that are looking at the city of Beaumont currently. So that's exciting. In fact, we have one tomorrow with a manufacturing business, and they're looking at an existing building within the city. So if anything good happens from that meeting, I can go ahead and report back to the committee at the next meeting what exactly happened and if we're moving forward with discussions with that company or not. So that's exciting. We're starting to see final grade or precise grade plans for the commercial shopping center over by California Highway Patrol. So that's for the Panera Bread. I've received building plans for Ono Hawaiian Barbecue, so that looks promising. If you've ever been to one of those. And the Sonic is also proceeding on their building plans, so we're working on those types of things. We're excited to get some of that stuff in off the ground running. Drove up Beaumont Avenue the other day, and there is that Banana Tea Asian Fusion restaurant. So I stopped in there. It looks kind of like your Hawaiian barbecue type of catering, and it's fast food. So you go in, grab it real quick, so you don't need to spend 2 hours there or anything like that. So it looks good. I haven't tried it yet, but they are open. We've approved them quite some time ago, so we're happy that they're open.
It's pretty good.
You've gone?
Yeah.
All right, so we have
Banana
one
Leaf,
person
yeah.
that's vouched for it.
What is it? Beaumont?
Banana Leaf, that's what it is.
Banana Leaf, yeah.
There we go.
Beaumont?
It's right by the mirrors and the Glass and Mirrors, Beaumont Glass and Mirrors, in that same little parking center. It's been a couple different restaurants.
It's about 11th or 12th. No.
Right.
So that's good.
Let's plane that down.
And Wolverine is open and operational. They're just in the beginning stages of getting in product, setting up computer systems and all that fun stuff. So hopefully the city is going to be working out a grand opening with them in the near future. I wanted them to kind of get in and operational before we bombard them with a tour request and council members wanting to ask questions while they're busy training the 80 new employees. I'm not sure if I informed the committee that they had a job fair here, that the council allowed them to use City Hall for their job fair, and they had 2 dates planned. And the first day, they hired all 80 plus people they needed, and they did not need to have the job fair on the second day. So that was a good turnout from the local community, as well as it was really good turnout from our local workforce, which these people, corporate people from Michigan, were a little bit worried about coming to Southern California and Beaumont, California specifically, and how the workforce was going to be here. And I told them throughout the entire process, We have a qualified workforce, people. There's people that need local jobs, so they may have already had a job, but they're tired of driving 45 to 2 hours towards the west to go to a job, so they'd rather be here. And that allows them to spend less time on the road, less gas money, so bring some more take-home pay back home, and they get to spend more time with their families. So they were really impressed, and they were happy with that. So I can't wait to invite all of you to the grand opening whenever we get that slated. And I think that's pretty much it for notable projects on city staff's perspective. Unless you have anything,
No, that's it.
Ms. Gibbs. That's it?
That's it.
All right.
Any questions?
What about this, is that new summer wind over by Cherry Valley Boulevard, starting to get up and running now, right?
In Calamasa,
Yeah.
they're moving. They're moving some stuff. I know that the landowner, which is Argent Development, is talking to merchant builders about purchasing lots or planning areas or tracks. And they're working on their water service and sewer service agreements with Yucaipa Valley in terms of getting the utilities provided there. So it's more activity than I've seen in the past 10 years. So they're definitely,
Really?
something's going on out there.
Yeah, so, good.
Kyle, was the Wolverine advertising primarily local, or did it go out like countywide, and we just happened to have a lot of local turnout? Or
You know, what I did was I put them in contact with the Press Enterprise and the Record Gazette. And I'm not exactly sure how many ads they purchased or exactly how they went through it, because I let corporate make that decision. But I simply gave them my contact information at each of the 2 newspapers and got the information out that way.
did they give you any numbers of like how many of their 80 were local?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I do know that some of the people are definitely local. In fact, one of the managers they hired lives in Beaumont, but I don't know the number of the 80.
Okay, I was just, I was want to be cautious on how I presented that to the public. We local hiring, but it could be surrounding. But that's fine. And my second question: did we talk about at some point, or was that council when we talked about possibly having an advertisement for some of these local companies? Was it at the council meeting or on our website? Kind of about featuring a local business and stuff. Was that something we talked about here, or was that a council thing?
I think it was a council meeting that we discussed it, and I could bring the committee up to speed with those discussions. We had a concept of taking and running with it some of the things we identified in the SWOT analysis, which was trying to expand or retain existing businesses or showcase those businesses, as well as create a better web presence online. So we thought, well,
We did talk about that here in council.
Okay.
In this, about having like a business of the month or a feature
Exactly.
business of the month and stuff like that as a retention quality.
so we'd like to do that, and I think we presented to council as well. So we're going to try to work on something like that, and then bring something back to the committee for their review.
Okay, good. All right, that's all. Thank you.
I had one more question. You said that 80 were retained by Wolverine. Do we know how many actually turned out? Approximately.
So what they did was very smart, and I think it led to them hiring all the people on the first day, is they requested people to pre-register and pre-apply through one of these internet hiring companies. I'm not sure which one it is off the top of my head. I'm not that familiar with them, but they needed to go on there and apply. And they pre-screened applicants and set them up with interview times. And then they also welcomed walk-ins. But walk-ins did not have scheduled interview times and so forth. So I believe they had over 150 people with scheduled times, and the day they were here, they were swamped, so they didn't really have a number on how many walk-ins were here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no more questions? No? Okay. Thank you, Kyle. So now, item 2D, policies and procedures update.
Yep.
Oh, Kyle has it, as he always
I got it
has
for you,
everything.
sir. So we talked about the policies and procedures here at the committee level, and we presented those to council. And they said okay to those, and that's going to be our basic marching orders going forward. So they solidified the the members and the member agencies, we had council change, or we didn't have it, council changed the treasurer position because there was a conflict on timing. So she was not able to attend these meetings based on prior engagements. So they opened up that seat for another Beaumont business community member. And the applications for that vacancy were actually due today. I'm not sure how many applications the city clerk's office actually received, so I'll have to check tomorrow. And if we didn't get in a sufficient amount or any, we'll have to ask the newspapers to advertise that again for us and extend the deadline out. So that's what happened there. We obviously talked to them about the student member and how during the summertime it's not going to be the best time to have the students here, but that once school started, which it did yesterday, we'll give you some time to make that appointment. They did identify that the student will not be a voting member, so that's clear. And that also allows us to transition them. If you wanted to have more than one a year to give experience to multiple students, that will be perfectly fine. And then the other stuff we talked about, that we talked about here first, was the alternate members, and if people were able to attend on behalf of someone else, if they would be considered a voting member or not. So that was decided. So the council will allow an alternate member to be here, but they cannot cast votes. And then the last thing was, or actually two more things. So we talked about excused versus unexcused absences, and as well as formalizing the committee going dark in July. So July will officially be dark from now on, and the committee has, I think it's one excused absence, or one unexcused absence through the year. But if you send someone in your place as an alternate, that absence is not considered unexcused. So I hope that makes sense. If not, I'll try to explain it again. And then, lastly, we talked to, or is that the next one? No, that's the next item, so I'll wait for their,
We should just combine that.
you want to combine them? All right. So membership terms. So the policies and procedures talked about membership terms for each of the committee members, and those were slated at 2 years apiece. So once we had that established, we as staff got to thinking, okay, well, if we just kick it out 2 years from now, we're going to have 14 members that all are going to expire on the same day, which doesn't work too well for a committee that we want to do long and short-term planning. And how is that really going to be facilitated at the staff level? So we decided to break the committee up into two groups and do a staggering of the initial terms. So the first group of people, representatives, were both council members, the chamber representative, the secondary education representative, city manager, city economic development staff, which is me, and then the rotating member. All of those were appointed for a 5-month term ending January of 2018. And that doesn't mean that they're done, they cannot apply again. That's just when their term expires, they would need to reapply and be reappointed by council to serve a full 2-year term. And then the next group of people, because I didn't want everyone to expire at the same time, were given 17 months. So that would expire January 1 of 2019. We would all hope that everyone on that one wants to go even further than that, but that was kind of our idea of how to get people to a January timeline, not all expiring or needing to reapply at the same time. So that would be the local economic developer representative, so that'd be Mr. Moran. The two business community members that we have, the vacancy, Beaumont Unified School, and the two community members that are on the committee as well. So congratulations on the new terms. Like I said, I would hope everyone wants to reapply after that term is over. But that's how it's going to go. And by no means do you have to serve that term if you do not want to, but that's just what we did at the staff level and presented that to council on something that made sense to us so that when council is doing their annual committee appointments, that would be when we were going to be appointing people to this committee as well as the finance committee.
Were you saying how lucky you were?
No, you were saying how lucky I was.
Oh, okay, yes.
I think you're both lucky.
Thank you.
Any comments, any concerns, any?
Would there be a rotating, like for the chamber, if someone else wanted to step in for the next term, I could pass that on to another chamber?
Yeah, the
director?
chamber representative is a little bit more fluid. So back when the chamber had an executive director or a director, we had the chamber board basically appoint that person, which was their staff member, to the committee. If the chamber wants to do that again, that's perfectly fine with the city. If they want to have a board member attend on behalf of the chamber, that's perfectly fine as well. We just ask that it's not a rotating membership position.
Right.
Right, you still have to, because you have to have the one, city council approval, but two disclosures, correct?
Exactly. That's why we prefer not to have a mix of 5 board members attending every 5 meetings or so. So we would want one person to attend. If that person's unable to fulfill that term, or the chamber decides, look, we have a director and we want to appoint them versus a board member, you can make those changes at any given time. Just let us know and we'll go to council and we'll present to them the new member that the chamber has requested to be appointed for that position, and I'm sure the council will be okay with it.
Yeah, we don't have a director per se, for marketing and, so no one takes place Sherry, but, so, okay, that answers the question.
Okay.
I just have a comment on the terminology with BUSD. Just for clarity's sake, there are some sensitive people who work in Beaumont. Just so that way we're not confused if we were Beaumont USD versus BUSD, which can be confused with Banning Unified. Yeah, so just for clarity's sake, we're working on clarity as an organization.
Yeah, never crossed my mind.
Just for clarity's
But
sake.
I will change that for you.
Right, Mr. Martinez, we're working on as a district clarity and understanding.
Yes.
Building capacity, yes. Other than that, any other questions on that item? Okay, so looks like that's the law, all right. So moving on to item 2, that was 2E, this is 2F, discussion of duties, responsibilities, structure of the committee. Anything additional? I mean, that took care of a lot of things.
We don't have anything new to present today from staff's level, so unless, I don't know if any of the committee members have any ideas they've been mulling over or want to discuss any of those things, so I'll open it up to the group.
I do, but part of that is, after we get into 2G, was kind of was looking for some updates before I kind of head down that road.
And I think in item 2D with the policies and being present and voting and the discussion we had about committing our time and being here, I think that cleared a lot of things up.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to 2G, topics for future agendas. These are just suggestions for discussion to put onto the future agenda, right?
Exactly, and we had a speaker scheduled for today, and they were unable to make this meeting, so we're going to try to get that agency represented at the next meeting. And that, we're trying to get some of the utilities, as you saw, we'd had Public Works here for city sewer and city transportation facilities. I've reached out to SoCal Gas to have them come do a presentation. I'm sure I can get my contact at SoCal Edison for their economic development functions to come speak on kind of what that agency does to spur business growth and growth within the community. And then we're hoping that the water district, Beaumont Cherry Valley Water District, has a representative that will come over and speak, as well as San Gorgonio Pass Water Agency, who is the water wholesaler and the state water contractor to bring down water from the state. So all these pieces kind of work together or work against each other on business retention, expansion, or even building of residential units or offices within the city. So hopefully we're going to schedule those. And then Pass Water was unable to meet today. They were going to be in Sacramento today, so I've asked them, if possible, to kind of schedule some time for this meeting next month. So hopefully they're okay.
Mr. McGraw?
My question kind of was around the general plan update. I know this is a longer-term process, but I think that's one of the things, now that we kind of have been through the SWOT analysis and stuff, that I would like to, is that committee been formalized?
So they have a task force. They don't have a full committee that meets under the Brown Act. They have a task force that meets, and council's appointed umpteen people to the task force, and they have task force meetings, and we have community meetings on which all members of the public and all members of the committee are encouraged to attend. So we can definitely send out some.
What is their time frame that they're trying to put all this together? I mean,
For the general plan?
yeah, I mean, it's about a year and a half, is that correct?
We're probably 6 months into a 2-year process.
Okay, so
we have about
18
a
months
year and a half left.
So, because one of the big things, as I said, with this committee is now that we can start making suggestions, I think we need to get more formalized ideas of what we want to do, and then potentially get some of that put into there. We've talked about having, if it's a tagline for the city, if it's, you know, certain concepts of areas that we want to do or whatever. So that's kind of why I was asking that, is what our time frame is that we could, you know, if we're too early or too late, you know, we want to make sure we're putting information into council and into that piece that they can make useful, you know, while this task force is updating that plan, so that the plan can include what we kind of, you know, come up with. So
Yeah, what I could do is I can have Rebecca, our community development director, come speak on where we're at with the general plan at the next committee meeting. In fact, she's actually going to be here on my behalf next meeting.
Okay.
Am I going to be here?
yeah,
So that works out well. I'll just kind of tell her that she has some homework to do, and she has to present to you all where we are in the process and kind of what the next steps are. I'm sure she'll be thrilled to talk about the general plan, because that's what she works on every day.
but that especially being the second piece of that is very important. I think from my perspective at least, is what this next steps are and what the time frame, how that 18 months is planned on laying out. So we know if we have lines in the sand where we need to have certain things done by,
And
will help us continue down that road.
it's great input, because there is going to be those different things, and part of this general plan has a economic analysis component of it, and it also has a fiscal analysis component. If you will, we're trying to identify whether just zoning residential everywhere makes financial sustainability sense for the city council or not. And without a fiscal or an economic element, you're kind of just guessing. Well, it might make sense if the houses are worth $2 million each, but if they're not, then it may not.
Right.
So we're trying to do that, and I think for this committee to be involved with those processes is very important, because we're going to be able to decide, do we want to put more commercial or office area in different areas that were thought of for the last 20, 30 years as residential or not?
Yeah, and we've also talked about what type of, just because it's commercial zone, what type of businesses are we wanting, what type of activity do we want? And I think, you know, the general plan is the perfect piece for that, to say, hey, this is our vision, and what should be included and what should be excluded for that purpose. So again, I think that's important to know those timeframes so that we can put together the proper, whatever homework we got to do, and then the proper, you know, suggestions.
Yeah.
To go forward with that. But it doesn't do us any good if we're 3 months too late.
Okay. Anyone else in terms of topics for our next meetings? Mr. Harris?
Whatever happened to the Pennsylvania off-ramp? I know we discussed it months ago, and I don't know how far we got with that after Caltrans. Too many, or not enough off-ramps in the city, but where are we with that?
Palmer brought us up to speed at the last meeting. I think that's the one
Yeah,
that,
I came in a little late.
yeah, so you missed his update. So you have to watch the YouTube and you can see it.
Come on, Kyle, give me a break.
The Reader Digest version is that we're proceeding on that with Caltrans. We coincidentally met with the congressman last week and talked to him about our needs for some assistance on the grade separation. So the project's 2 phases. We need to do the interchange with some ramps to make Pennsylvania a full interchange as opposed to just getting off, going westbound and getting on, going eastbound. We need the other 2 ramps. So we can go ahead and do that. We have a streamlined process through Caltrans to do so. And we're hoping to get our RFP done to actually hire a company to design and do that. But then the next step comes going underneath the railroad.
Yeah.
And that's the big ticket item that costs $25 to $35 million. So that's the one where we still want to design it. We need to get these projects shovel ready. And then once they're shovel ready, we need to start looking for Senate Bill 1 money through the state of California, any other grants we can achieve, go for highway safety, railroad safety grants through Congress and see what happens there. And if the Trump administration comes out with that $1 trillion infrastructure bill, then we would like to be first in line on those types of those projects. But if we don't get authorization and we don't get those projects designed, get the plans approved and have them shovel ready, then we're going to be in the huge line of people that want to access those funds.
And I can add a few things to that. We actually met with the railroad today out there at Pennsylvania.
Oh, really?
The city engineer and I, to get them ready. And FRA was there, UP was there, Amtrak, just to let them know what our plans are for that grade separation at Pennsylvania and to put it on their radar.
I just get a lot of people ask me about that, you know, just.
It's an important
gosh,
topic.
Traffic is just Island Spring, big time.
I don't think this is a topic for future agenda. I'm not really good with following rules, but I would like to ask if someone would meet with me and the potential student coming on board. I think that would be really good. So, Ms. McGraw?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I will email you with some times, given what the student's schedule is, that we can just have a conversation and bring them up to speed, let them ask questions or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I think we're ready to really get down and do a task. I think we really need to get something done and get a product going. So my question is, and it could be the general plan, depending on how the report comes and how we can get involved in that. But what I'm asking is do we think we're at the point of where we need to? And I don't know how we want to approach that because I don't know what our procedure is. That's why I'm bringing it up. Are we at the point of where we're ready to ask council, hey, what do you want us to do so we can get going on something? Or are we at the point of where we want to discuss some possibilities to present to them to say, hey, these are some ideas. Are you willing for us to go ahead and start moving on that? Because I really want to start moving the committee into, and hopefully it's the same idea that you're thinking of, is just to kind of get us doing something. I like the discussion, I like the reports, these are all important to understand, but I think as a committee with so many valuable people here, we really need to start moving on some task and something. And I just don't know what it is, and I don't know if we're ready, like I said, for them to tell us or for us to suggest and then go from there. So how are we on that, and what do we think about that?
I know it was a few months back, but we were talking that one of the big things is kind of having a vision, which we started down that road a little bit, kind of a vision statement, but that line 8 here, the slogan, tagline, catchphrase, I think is something we should start coming up with. We've talked about either doing that as a community contest or even if we do something here. I think we can do both.
Right.
If we put it out as a contest and then the committee enters whatever we come up with into that. But I think that's something that's important that we talked about, having whatever that is, a little catchphrase or that one line, one sentence for the city of what we are. That I think we're ready to kind of put something together with that was one of the things I was gonna ask, if we can come with some things next month. I think as a committee, we can do that. From there, I think that's why I was kinda asking about the general plan. I think we need to start having some discussion of what we would like to see the city go to. What are we missing? What should we be trying to attract? And then we can, I would rather go to council with what we would like to see more than asking council what they would like us to do. I think there's a lot of out-of-the-box thinkers, which makes this unique, that we can come up with ideas that maybe wouldn't be thought of. You know, council's 5 members as opposed to, what do we have, almost 13, 14 here, and much more diversity here. So I think we're better to go and throw ideas, come up with ideas and send them that way. And, you know, not all of them will fit or work, but I think we have more effectiveness that way. So I think we should start working towards making our suggestions for where we need to change course or hold course or whatever we need to do with that. Things like the business of the month or whatever, but I think that's where I'd like to see us go. But I think that first piece is for me is something, a tagline. I just know anytime in planning anything from a marketing and business perspective that I've always done is I've always had a vision of what was there, and so that everything I would do would always come back to that piece, something to do. We don't have that right now. I think there's some very different opinions of where we are and where we are going. So I think that one unified tagline, I think, is what we need to kind of start with, and I'd like to see it from community as well as the committee here.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I think if I could chime in, I think what Councilmember Martinez said is true. We need to start working on something, but at the same time, Mike's input is directly on point as well. So we find ourselves in this weird scenario in which we're doing a general plan update, and the thing takes 2 years. So you're kind of in this, and I tell businesses that call that are not zoned right now for where they want to go, that they could be zoned correctly in 1.5 years, because it's up in the air on where the community is going to go with different parts of the town. So you can look at it in 2 ways. One, we have to wait 1 year. We can do our input into the general plan process right now. That could be looked at as a negative or a positive. The way I look at it is it's more of a positive, because we can institute changes into the general plan. If it was just approved last year, we're not going to be changing that thing. That's going to be steadfast. This is what the community and the council want to see for the next 10 or 15 years. So then we would already have our marching orders to go ahead and move forward on. And following the general plan update, we're hoping that council and administrative staff would like to start working on like a formal economic development strategic plan. But to do one now, in the process of the general plan update, is poor timing. So we'd love to be able to jump straight into that now with the SWOT analysis fresh and do it, but the timing's just wrong. We can't do that while the general plan update is looming, because if we try to do certain things in that strategic plan, which is what we want to do business-wise for the next 5 or 10 years, and it directly conflicts with the general plan, it's going to be a waste of time and a waste of money. So that's kind of what we're thinking about.
But as you say, for that next 18 months, we can have a lot of input into where the general plan goes.
We can do that, and we can come up with different ideas that aren't part of a full-on strategic plan, but different things that accomplish some of the goals that we put forth.
Right.
So I think a good thing to do maybe in the next month or two is look at the 4 committee goals and come up with just ideas of programs or things that you think the city or the committee want to be working on to formalize or to create a thing, a concept or a program or an outreach or something like that that you'd like to see the city do, or the businesses or the community would like to see the city do. And when we come up with these ideas that match our goals, we can present those to council and say, look, this is what we want to do, and we can start working on those things. And the slogan is just one of those. So that falls in perfectly with some of the different things, including the vision statement that was approved by council. Creating a tagline or a slogan accomplishes more than one of those goals if we have a good one in place. Like you said, we can build our marketing campaign or a website off of those things. Why we're doing the general plan update. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I think you can start to form a framework for some of these things in addition to some specific items, such as your slogan or other things. But looking at your goals, you can, I think, start molding the framework or outline of what you want to do in the strategic plan and some of the things you want to take a look at. And you can maybe even take a dive into some of them. You know, if you're recruiting new business, what are those things that you're going to do as part of that attraction and recruitment process, or small business development, those types of things. So from a land use standpoint, certainly the general plan, I think, is critical, because that's going to determine where things can and can't go for X period of time. But in terms of, in the meantime, as you continue to recruit businesses, yeah, I think you can build on that framework or create it if you don't have it already.
So what I would like to see then on that note, and see if you guys agree, is that when I look at an agenda, I would like to see as one of the letter groups on the action something there. So like if we create a general task, then what are we doing there? Are we working on something? And then are we doing a slogan? Because if we keep putting everything under future agenda items and we just keep talking about it, again, it doesn't feel like we're making any progress. So if we have it there under,
Want to see them move up.
yeah,
Right.
so I want to see it to go like right now, if we make a decision that, hey, we want to start talking about the slogan thing, then put that then as the action, make an agreement now, so that we can think about that. So when we come back next time, we have something that we know we're going to be talking about. And of course, we'll have our presentations and all that stuff to go with it, but at least we have something we know that we're trying to dig into. And then, you know, just maybe so I can feel like we're moving.
Right.
I don't know.
And I completely agree. We need to start moving forward. We need to get stuff on the agenda. And I think with the general plan update, as being scheduled for next, well, what she has so far, and the slogan, I think those are two good things that we can really thresh out more. And if we get that update, then we can actually pick something on the agenda for the next meeting then, to actually keep on moving forward and getting ideas.
I would be okay if we asked council to do some kind of a whatever city contest to get public involvement for the slogan immediately. And we come in the next meeting
Yes.
and enter whatever we're going to enter with it. Because those aren't very easy and no sweat off anybody's back, and there's no reason we shouldn't at least be moving that direction
Right.
immediately. And as you say, with the general plan, at least the outline of the time frame for the general plan update, then I think it would be easier, at least from my perspective, to say, hey, by this time I'd like this done, and by this time I'd like to see this done. Things that we could kind of tackle, but I'd like to kind of see what that process is, just because I don't want to take it in all the wrong orders. And then, as I say, we're missing the boat because we're giving information that's a year off, and we're missing deadlines that need to be, the stuff we should be talking about for immediate things are getting missed. So that's the only reason I kind of ask about that. Because I think we've talked enough around. We all have ideas of things that. We all have put ideas in for where we'd like to see things go. But as you said, that general plan update is a unique opportunity for a long-term move. But as far as getting the slogan goes, that kind of slogan tagline thing, I'd like to see that move to council to put something in place that we can do some kind of community outreach to get input from the community with that, be it a contest or whatever. And then, as I say, I think just as our committee, we should come up with something here and enter it into whatever that is.
I can try to get the, well, I'll have to ask Todd if he wants it on the next agenda, because the next agenda for council will actually be Tuesday. Yeah,
But
so I'll need to,
But they meet every 2 weeks, correct?
they do, but then the next meeting after that is gonna be the first meeting in September. So it'll be the week before,
Right, but still prior to us meeting again.
yeah, but the contest would only be like less than a week old if they were to approve it at I think it's September.
No, agreed, but I mean, if we're talking about entering something ourselves, I mean, I'm not trying to push this back any farther for sure, but you know what I mean? But if they approve it, then the contest can run the month of September.
Yep.
We would still then be able to enter ours relatively early into the contest, and then they would be able to approve something prior to us meeting October 1st, so that would be in place.
So you're
we'd be one meeting that we're putting our information in, and the next meeting we come back, it would be done.
So you just want to make sure that's the direction they want to go before we put all this effort into it. Is that what
I'm
we're saying?
perfectly okay with us putting it either way, that we come up with something and at least submit it to council at a minimum. I think we should at least submit something to council at a minimum, but
Well,
I do think the community has a lot of ideas, and I think, if we put something out to the community, we might get some things we don't think of.
Okay, so my brain's, I think, off right now, so let's put it back on. So what we're asking then for the September 1st council is to ask, to let them know that we're going to go ahead with this slogan thing. And are we looking for like their blessing so that, yeah, go ahead and do that, and then we'll put it together?
I'd like to see council open something up to the community, whatever that is. I don't know how this was the best way to do that. If there's some kind of
action, starting a contest, and
Okay.
then
start
being
something
able
that
to
runs.
notify the committee that we'd want to solicit their input on slogans or a catchphrase
Right.
related to the goals and the vision statement for the Economic Development Committee.
And then we'll,
Not any slogan on the planet, it needs to be focused
okay.
Well,
on our.
we had talked that, the city needs a tagline. So what is Beaumont? And I think that's a big thing, Jeff had talked about that a few months back, that
Yeah.
every city that has, great development that he can point to has something, whatever that be, an all-American city, or, the little, whatever, the little engine that could, whatever it is, but they have a little tagline, and we've got nothing. And as I said, I think it's if you took 25 random people, you'd probably get 20 very different ideas. And I think as we said, we came up with a vision statement for what we'd like to see out of this committee, but I'd also like to see something that council says or approves that says, yeah, this is what Beaumont is. That we can work around marketing to and developing and going that direction. So not a big long statement, but
City as a whole.
the city, what is Beaumont? What is that tagline?
Norco is Horsetown, USA.
Right.
That's their tagline.
And, I mean, as you drive through any of the areas that have done a good job, every one of them has one. And,
Oh, that's right. Okay.
and we need to come up with something. So I'd like to see that go to the community, and then whatever that comes, to have council approve or pick what they like the best, so we know where we're going with that as a marketing piece. I think that would, other than that, we're gonna put out 20 different marketing ideas, and they may be very different from
Right.
where council thinks
Yeah.
we are, what the city is. So I'd really like to see that get done quickly. And as I say, I think if we have that as a September 1st, that council says, hey, we'll run this for the month of September, we'll throw our idea into that hat. Council then can approve at the end of September, 1st of October, yeah, this is what we like, and go forward with that, then we would be able to, start our marketing, at least suggestions and stuff down that road, which then don't have any issue with the general plan, because this is more of a marketing concept that we need to work towards, which general plan won't be affecting. That's something we can do now and start putting some information to.
And if we do get that approved at the beginning of September, if you could send us all an email, because I'd be happy to send it out to all my clients and everybody in the area to send in their ideas. We could absolutely get a lot of community development just with the people around this table. There's a lot of people that we talk to and are Beaumontians with us, so.
We push it out through the chamber, social media, next door, just put together, something that is approved, and
Okay.
we push it out everywhere.
So this is how I see this, because working with the role that I'm in, it takes a long time to do one thing. Have everyone's input, people have ideas, and then having that approved by the council may not always be as easy as we think it is. So I think we as a committee should be moving forward with that, just like we did the SWOT analysis. We started that. We started moving on that. We developed goals, and then that was approved eventually by the council. Now, I'm not saying it has to be that extensive, but I think as a committee, we are steering and saying, hey, this is what we think we need to have, and we need to have the approval of council in order to say, yes, this is what we're going to do. So I look at them as three separate tasks, one being a temporary task. So the SWOT analysis was really a temporary task to get us moving, developing the goals, all of that. The branding, catchphrase, whatever you want to call it, that's I see as a temporary task too. How are we assisting in that to then get approval by the council? The second piece is really, and it goes back to the general plan, how do we provide information to council based upon our expertise and our differences to say, hey, here's the general plan, these are our thoughts about that. So we're going to have a presentation done, we can talk about that and assist in developing that plan that will be done next year. And so that's the second really agenda item. And the last one being something that the council has said, hey, this is what I want the economic committee to do. So this is what we have determined is your task. That way we'll always have three kind of things, well, it can be more than that, but three things in the hyper, and we're rolling through that as we go. But one of the things with the project is really, it has to come from the backing of the city to say we're invested in that and we're going to provide resources to ensure that happens. That way we're not spinning our wheels doing something that may not be supported. So I see all of those things intertwined and connected. The only concern I have in my head is just the timeline for this is what that hashtag or that brand or whatever it is for the city is going to be, because I think it's going to be a little bit more intensive. That's just my thought, but just want to give my 17 cents.
Probably want to develop a process for that. How do you go from starting a contest to picking a winner? How does that work? You're going to take public solicitation, narrow it down to some reasonable number, then are we going to vote on it? It's going to be a subcommittee. You know, that'll take a couple months probably.
Yeah, because it's a big deal.
Right.
Without it is.
But I think we can start that. I think we can start to have those
Yeah.
conversations.
That's something we could,
Started, right?
that's something we could do as well. If they do the contest, we could be the ones that narrow it down. I mean, there's enough here, there's enough talent, and we'll take that contest, we can narrow it down to top 5, put just top 5 in front of council.
Let's, in the meantime, because I can't guarantee we're gonna get this contest kicked off on Tuesday. It's probably
no,
gonna
for sure.
be September.
Whatever the
Come on,
time frame,
Meantime,
Come on.
whatever the time frame is to get it started, but I'd like to
let's
see
do
that.
some think tank on the process itself. So maybe bring back some recommendations on a process that another community has worked on, because a lot of communities have these things, so we can easily take what they did that worked and eliminate the things that didn't work so well in their process, and bring that back as some suggested processes to go to council and say, not only do we want to do this contest, but we also have thought about a couple different options to aid and assist you on how to get to the finish line to select one, as to not just create a problem for council with 50 different ones and make them be the bad guys on which one gets picked. They'll make the ultimate decision, but we'll need to assist them through that process to narrow it down. So that's homework. In theme with school starting.
We've
Mm-hmm.
had plenty of time.
Yes, all the time in the world. Ms. Barraza, Bernie, anything? Any?
I think it's also important to understand what the slogans are from the nearby cities, so we have a better understanding and we don't want to
Duplicate.
create something that is close related to what already exists.
Sure.
Just a thought. And another thing that came to mind when we said a contest, that being in the classroom, when I said, okay, we're gonna do this project, I'll give you some points. The first question that they want to know is, how many points? So if we're gonna say a contest, we have to make sure that we clarify what is it. What we mean by that is your logo, slogan, or whatever it is that you're gonna create is your prizes that we select yours, and we'll make sure that we have a picture of you to show everybody who was the creator of this slogan. I don't know, just a thought.
One last thing, we had talked quite a few times about wanting to have a rep from the hospitality. Did we ever get any traction on that? Nothing at all, and nobody ever wanted to sit on here? Okay. I was just thinking about that. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I got you, Rob.
Thanks for joining us, Rob.
Consolation prize.
No, he's way better
If you
than the
weren't here today,
hospitality
then he
sector,
would have
so-
nothing, so he's very glad you're sitting next to
Probably
him.
knows 50 people from the hospitality sector. so-
Oh. So Rob, we're looking for somebody to sit on this panel from the hospitality
We
sector.
have a lot of hospitality in our
We're
county,
very-
for sure.
Right?
Yeah. We're underrepresented.
I'll get him filled in on where we're at, so he's a little quiet today since it's his first meeting. He also came back from vacation just for us. No other reason.
No other reason.
I don't know that I would concur with that statement.
Oh, all right.
It makes me look good.
Well,
Anything to add?
Yeah, no, I think it's important to start moving those items up, like you guys are saying. That way, if even if we have it on the agenda ahead of time, that way we know which one we should focus on. You know, we kind of come to this point each time and go over future topics, but that's probably a good point. We should make it a point at each meeting to move one of those topics up for discussion for the next time. That way, like you say, Julio, we have some homework, we kind of have some purpose, and then whichever one it is, I agree.
The other one I'd like to see move up for next month is, as we said, so if there's a business retention, whatever that be, if there's something on the website, I would love to hear Chamber's input of what the existing businesses would like to see from the city. That, you know, if they have some ideas that say, hey, this is what you can do to help support, grow.
I'd like to put it on, but I'm not gonna be here next week, so. I'd ask you kick that one to maybe the next meeting,
Alright.
so that I can participate in that discussion. Or you're gonna have to Skype me in.
It's on YouTube.
Can we put a request on that?
Just start texting in. Wait.
We've done that before, where you have the screen and my face would be up there, but we don't wanna do that. You don't wanna see me on the screen.
So we have the general plan update and a presentation next time. We're gonna start talking about slogan, branding, tagline, catchphrase, business retention is gonna be pushed a little bit.
I think the big thing is we say with the slogan, branding, and catchphrase is that we come up with a process to
Okay.
finalize that. That's what we really need to get in place. Is whatever that process be, that we can submit to council or whatever, that we would like to do this to get that done, and this is how that process is gonna work.
And for the business of the month, do you want to wait until Kyle comes back?
We can put that on
October?
for 2 months. We can go one more month,
Yeah,
that's
we
fine.
can- We can do with that a little bit.
October.
If we could maybe ask that chamber come with at least some input, a little presentation next month, would that be possible? Sure. Of maybe some ideas that we can at least mull over for then when Kyle comes back, we would have some action plans based on hearing from chamber and hearing from existing business. And if you have anybody, Kyle, that maybe you can have come speak that would say, hey, these are the things that might help. If there's some existing business that's kind of been knocking on your door to, your school's calling me.
Friendly parent message.
If there's you know, if there's some businesses that are saying, hey, this is what we could use, we'd love to hear it next month, that would be, I think, be at least good input.
So is that healthy enough for the next agenda? Okay. Anything else to add before we, look at that, move to adjournment?
I move to adjourn.
Oh, move to adjournment. That's great. Now, you said you have to. Okay, so man,
You have the gavel.
we're gonna adjourn at 5:01. And our next meeting is gonna be September 13th, so we'll see you at 4 PM.
Okay, so what I put